In the course of human events, podcasts have been created by men, and men alone. But this podcast is different. This podcast has a wife. And the wife does research on topics. And then she presents it to the husband. Does she present it in a husband-honoring way? No. She says, listen here, idiot. I've opened many tabs and read many books. And you will listen to this podcast, husband o' mine. You will listen to it in a wife-honoring way. And that is how Too Many Tabs was born. What do you think of that?
I loved it. Use it.
That's pretty. You think that's a good intro?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
All right, cool.
Too many frauds and too many scammers that we wish weren't real. Too many cons and too many spammers, and we're starting to feel like we've got too many tabs open. It's too many tabs. Remember to smile.
We're here. We're smiling. We're feeling good. We're being good people.
Yep, we clean our glasses. So
We
can
clean our
see.
glasses because the baby likes to rip our glasses off our faces now.
Well, mine.
Yeah, he usually just grabs my beard and yells, "You're not Santa Claus." He doesn't know about him yet.
No.
We should.
I can't wait to lie to him about that.
You're excited?
I'm just kidding.
Oh my God. You just can't wait.
It's like, I can't wait to have a big looming lie to
Yeah.
tell a child. I'm not going to lie about the Tooth Fairy,
No.
the Easter Bunny, any of the other stuff.
My mom
Santa?
just gave us the picture of me with the Easter Bunny from
Yeah.
the dilapidated mall from when I was a child. And that's the most terrifying Easter. It's funny how every generation's Easter Bunny is the scariest Easter Bunny, at least 2 generations later.
Yeah.
Like if you see an Easter Bunny picture from the 60s, you're like, ah!
you handed that person your child?
Yeah. And meanwhile, it's literally the bunny from Donnie Darko. It's just in the corner. And everyone's like, he was so lovely back
so
then.
nice.
But real quick show announcements.
Okay.
I have shows.
Yeah?
I'm still doing the stand-up.
Oh, you are. I thought
am.
you gave that up.
You would have thought so with the way American Airlines treats me. But I'm going to be in San Diego on July 21st. I'm in Atlantic City August 2nd.
No.
And then I'm taking the rest of August
Let me tell you
off.
something about Atlantic City.
Yeah,
if
what
you've
about
never
it?
been there. I love Atlantic City Beach.
Yeah?
It's not the prettiest beach.
It's definitely not.
But here's the thing. There's free bathrooms everywhere because there's casinos everywhere.
Yes.
So unlike other beaches, number one, it's also free because in Jersey they make you pay for beaches with beach tags.
A lot of people don't know that.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people don't know that most of the Jersey Shore you have to pay each day to even
you have
visit
to pay
the shore.
for a beach tag to go
Yep.
into their beach.
Yep. And if you don't have it on there, they beat you and then they send Snooki after you.
Okay, that's not true. They will arrest you. And
They will
fine
arrest you though. and fine you didn't pay $5, now you have to pay $200.
But yeah, the Atlantic City Beach is free.
Yeah.
So you don't need a beach tag.
Yep.
And then anytime you need to go to the bathroom, bing, bang, boom, all these casinos around with big old bathrooms.
Yeah, you can just go in there and then you can be like, hey, I want to play craps in your toilet.
Whoa.
Hey-o. But yeah, Atlantic City, I'm going to be performing there on August 2nd. And then the rest of August, no shows. And then September, I have 2 shows in Philadelphia, a show in St. Louis, and a show in Indianapolis. You can click that link down there in the show notes or the thing on YouTube, if you're watching this on YouTube.
The drop down?
The drop down, what do they call it?
I don't know what they call it.
I don't know. Well,
We're learning. We're learning about YouTube. We're growing and learning.
I'm
We're
beginning.
only 20 years behind the Try Guys.
We're only 20 years behind the 12-year-olds who are good at YouTube.
Yeah.
Is really what that comes down to. But this is a different type of show where typically it's more of an audio show, but we've been yelled at to please put a video aspect. So that's why it's here.
We weren't yelled at. We were asked kindly and nicely.
It was strongly suggested to us by a series of people who were like, do you want to be successful? And then I'm like, all right, fine. I put up a video. They're like, why are you only using one camera? I'm like, well, we're getting there.
We're working on it.
There's a lot of things.
We got stuff.
And we want to thank everybody who's helped us work on that through our Patreon, patreon.com/Pearlmania500 or pearlmania500.net.
To help support this podcast.
Thank you so much because a bunch of our videos have gotten demonetized. I forgot to tell you about that.
Oh.
Because of some of the topics we cover sometimes and the language we use, YouTube goes, no, I don't like that.
I'm not cursing right now.
No, we're
See?
going out of our way to not curse. And I think it's for like the first 7 seconds. I don't know. There's weird rules.
I don't know.
I don't have the time to figure them all out for YouTube, but you know what we do have time for?
What?
The rest of this episode, because you've done a ton of research.
So much work.
Some people would say it was too much research.
Yeah, some people.
Because there's right here on this test, there's 1. There's
He's holding
2.
up the books I've read.
There's 3. There's 4. And lastly, with all the things tabbed on it, 5 books. 5 books
Yeah.
about our topic today, Miss Bette Davis.
Absolutely.
And it's gotten to the point where I asked you, how long do you think this episode will be? And you're like, oh,
I don't know.
You don't know.
We're taking it one information dump at a time.
Yep. So we are going to go through a few aspects of Miss Bette Davis's life. And
Not a few. We're going through a lot of aspects of Bette. Bette Davis is incredible.
Okay.
And I need to describe to you and in detail why she's incredible.
So save it after the commercial break.
Okay.
Oh, except for our Patreons who don't get a commercial break. They just get to hear right into our lovely voices. So we'll be back right after this, and you're going to teach me all about who?
Bette Davis.
And her what?
Life.
Oh, no, I was going to say her eyes.
Oh.
Because she got Bette Davis eyes.
Okay, we'll get to that.
All right.
We're
Timer
back.
starts now. Go, Bette Davis.
Well, we need to tell people how we got here.
Okay.
Okay, because Bette Davis isn't someone we would normally cover, right?
No.
Like she's not like pop culture.
And she's not-
She is historical, but not in the
Not
way
this-
back way we usually go.
Not the same sort of political way in that way. Yeah.
So here's what happened.
What happened?
There's this TV show called Feud.
Not Family Feud.
No, Feud.
Not with Steve Harvey.
Okay, and it was on FX years ago.
Yep.
And I wanted to watch it because I love Bette Davis and
Yep.
Joan Crawford.
Yep.
And I couldn't watch it because we didn't have FX at the time. And then through a series of many events that have to do with FX and Hulu and disagreements, it never got posted anywhere else for a long time.
Yeah, it was
For
never
years.
on streaming.
And then you know what actually happened? One of the people that characterized in the show, not Bette Davis's estate or Joan Crawford's estate. It was actually the woman that Catherine Zeta-Jones played.
Yeah.
That character, she sued them and said that they misrepresented her. And that was another reason it couldn't go back on streaming.
Yeah.
So anyway, it wasn't on streaming for a long time. And very recently, they got it back on streaming because they just re-released a new one about Capote.
Yep.
And so I was like, hey, do you want to watch this with me? I've been waiting years to watch this.
Yeah.
And we both really liked it. And you were like, Bette Davis is incredible.
Yeah. So Bette Davis in Feud is played by Susan Sarandon.
Yeah.
And Joan Crawford is played by the actress
Jessica Lange
from American Horror Story and everything else.
My number one.
And Susan Sarandon plays an amazing Bette Davis.
Mm-hmm.
And I was telling Mrs. P, I'm like, I don't know like how much of this is like a caricature versus how much of this is accurate. Like it feels accurate. It's
Mm-hmm.
very well done. And Feud it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It is a fun. It's like 5 or 6 episodes. It was a mini series. And I was like, I want to know more about her because the other side of things, which I do just want to pin in real early, is Bette Davis Eyes is one of your favorite songs.
Yeah.
And she got Bette Davis eyes. And so I've always known that. And I've always confused Bette Davis with who's the pinup bondage lady?
Betty, I was just about to say Betty Boop. It's not.
No, it's not Betty Boop.
It's Betty Page.
Yes.
Yeah.
Betty Page. So in my head, I was like, she got Bette Davis eyes. I always just thought that was Betty Page. Like, because I just,
Yeah.
my brain's dumb.
Yeah.
And I'm a dumb man. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, oh, okay,
Not
cool.
arguing that.
And so, like, the fact that once I like saw the Susan Sarandon thing, I was like, okay, so Betty Davis and Betty Page, I clearly got them confused.
Yeah.
What else have I gotten wrong? And then I was like, I'd like to learn more about her. And then you were like, I already have 3 books about her.
I was like, I know a lot.
You had multiple books, and you were like, I think this should be an episode. And then before I know it, you started ordering more books, and then you kept going to the library.
Yeah. Well, because this is one of the episodes. This happens sometimes with our historical episodes or things where we have to kind of take the Wayback Machine, if you will, is that a lot of the information about this era isn't online.
Yeah.
Nobody's taking the time to put some of this stuff online.
Yeah.
So you actually have to go find the books that they were written back in the eras that they were happening.
Yeah, I mean, some of these books are from like the 80s and the late 70s and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's like finding those specific books. You had to go online and go find them, and then you went and you needed time to do the research.
Yeah.
You read all these books, but enough about you, how much work you've done.
Okay, listen.
Let's just
let's get
present
into
the
it.
work.
I'm going to tell you all about Betty Davis. Her name actually is Ruth Davis. That's how she was born, Ruth Davis.
How'd she get Betty?
We'll get there.
Okay.
So Ruth Davis was born on April 5th of 1908.
Whoa. Okay.
1908 in Lowell, Massachusetts. Before her 10th birthday, her father abandoned the family.
Okay.
She was sent to a boarding school called Cushing Academy. She has a sister. Her and her sister were sent to boarding school.
They sent to Cushing Academy.
Cushing Academy.
In Massachusetts. Okay.
At boarding school, she met her future husband, Harmon Oscar Nelson. His nickname is Ham. He goes by Ham.
Harmon. What's that again?
Harmon.
Okay.
Oscar.
Okay.
Nelson.
But I guess from Harmon they got Ham?
Yeah.
Okay.
Ham.
I would go with Harm. Harmy? You know what I mean? Like Ham is just...
Ham is good.
Well, I mean, this is also like a pre-World War II, like probably early 20s, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, look, here comes Ham.
Come here, Ham.
Come here, Ham.
In 1926,
Let me pinch your kosher cheeks.
then 18-year-old Davis went to a production of a show called The Wild Duck with two actresses starring in it, Blanche Yerka and Peg Entwistle. And Betty Davis stated that the reason she decided to go into acting was because of this performance. She witnessed this at 18, and she said, quote, "The reason I wanted to go into theater was because of an actress named Peg Entwistle."
Okay, so real quick. I'm not going to ask you to do the voice.
Yeah, I'm not going to.
But it would be like, the reason I wanted to join this theater was because of Peg Entwistle.
But also add so much more cigarettes.
Yeah. Well,
She smoked over 100 cigarettes a day.
icon.
That's why you loved her.
Listen,
you could sense it.
It was difficult to watch Feud because
Yeah.
she's chain smoking the entire show.
Yeah.
But the wild I'm sure you didn't look up too much about it. Do we at least know like what the Wild Duck is about?
No, I didn't look up the Wild Duck, but the woman that inspired her, Peg Entwistle, I knew that name, and I was like, why does that name live in my brain, right?
Yeah.
And so I looked her up. She is the actress who, in like the 30s, she's the woman that jumped off the H on the Hollywoodland sign.
What?
Yeah, like this is a big, like deep lore of Hollywood.
Wait, what?
Yeah, okay, so in the 30s,
Okay.
an actress jumped off the H in the Hollywood sign.
Yeah.
And after that, it changed the way that they treat the Hollywood sign. Like they have to have like different rails up there, like you can't get up there anymore. But also it's like
Wait, I mean, did she wanted to jump off?
yeah,
it?
it was a suicide.
Okay.
Yeah. But like it's also in media. Like you hear there's like Lana Del Rey sings about this actress. Like it's like this dark Hollywood lore that a lot of singers and artists talk about is Peg Entwistle. And like obviously Betty Davis didn't know this was going to happen to her.
And that was probably also back when it still said Hollywood Land.
Yes, exactly. It said Hollywood Land.
Oh man.
But yeah, that's her big claim to fame. Is number one, she
inspired
Betty Davis
and then killed
also,
herself on the
jumped
H.
off the H of the
Wow.
Hollywood land sign.
You know, she went to Hollywood and did H.
Okay.
Okay.
Ruth changed her name to Bette. Betty. It sometimes like in lingo they call her Bette.
Yeah.
But it's Betty. Changed her name to Betty, which was inspired by a story that she read called La Cousin Bette, written by a Frenchman named Balzac, Balzac, Balzac.
Yeah.
And which is the story of an unmarried middle-aged woman who plots the destruction of her extended family. The character Bette works with a married young lady to seduce and torment a series of men. And so she read that and said, Bet.
How long ago did you write that joke?
I didn't. I just came up with it right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
I do love that she read that story and she was like, this is who I'm basing the rest of my personality off of.
Exactly. She's like,
Hello, it's I, Bette Davis.
I get this.
I will use a series of young women to destroy all of you men.
So Betty Davis interviewed to be a student at the 14th Street Theater in New York.
Okay.
And the person who owned the school felt Davis was not serious enough to attend her school and described her as insincere and frivolous.
Oh, okay.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
And then Betty Davis went to a different school called the John Murray Anderson Dramatic School, and they took her in, and she was head of the class.
Yeah.
She was one of their like star pupils at the
Yep.
school. And fun fact, she actually was in school with Lucille Ball.
Oh.
And Lucille Ball came in after her.
From I Love Lucy.
Okay, I didn't think we need to clarify who Lucille Ball
I
was.
think we do. I think, honestly, you don't know. You don't know.
Okay. Yeah.
I think we do. I think
Lucille
this
Ball
is,
from
listen,
I Love Lucy.
Sometimes when I do a clarification or like I'm like, hey, like a weird correction, it's not because of you're saying it wrong. It's more just because like some people out there don't know.
Yeah.
And like you can't assume that
fair
people
enough.
know I love. I mean, people should. It would make me very mad that people don't know.
Listen, they're young people. I know.
Listen,
So-
I've met people now who have never seen Star Wars and don't know what I'm talking about, and that it always catches me off guard.
That's weird. So here's a fun fact, though.
Yeah.
Other than Lucille Ball was in the school with her, when Lucille entered the school, it was after Bette Davis, and she was so intimidated by Bette Davis. Like
Lucille Ball was.
Well, she was so intimidated by her talent and skill that when they had to do like scenes together, or like when she had to get up in front of class and like do stuff, she would like stutter. She couldn't work in front of Bette Davis. She was so like just scared and intimidated to the point where she almost got kicked out of school because she couldn't like actually get it together when Bette Davis was around. And so like she had to really pull herself up.
I could see Bette Davis though also being kind of a bitch about
Yeah, I'm
it.
sure.
Saying,
I'm sure.
We're stuttering and stammering again here, Red. Well, why don't you come back up here when you won't waste more of our time?
Yeah. Very that. You're ashing a cigarette. I see that.
I have to hold this pen now for the rest of this.
In 1929, Bette Davis was chosen to play Hedwig, the character that she had seen Aunt Whistle play in The Wild Duck. And after performing in Philadelphia, Washington, and Boston, she made her Broadway debut on that show. In 1930, the 5'3.5" Bette Davis moved to Hollywood to screen test for Universal.
Oh my God, she's taller than Sabrina Carpenter.
So I just had to put in her little shoes. She's a
Yeah,
tiny
she's so
woman,
tiny.
just chain smoking and being really aggressive.
That is
and
great.
I live.
Because the thing is like, so when we watched the show, Susan Sarandon played her, and Susan Sarandon I think is a little bit taller.
Yeah.
She at least carries herself a little bit taller. So and when looking at all these pictures of her, I have seen like a couple interviews with Bette Davis when she was on the Tonight Show, and we'll get into that later. But like, yeah, she was tiny then, but I was like, oh, because she's old.
Yeah, no, she's
Not
teeny
just that
tiny
she's
little
always
firecracker.
tiny. 5'3.5".
Half is on her bio on her
I know,
website.
that's what I'm saying.
It's like that's such a very 5'3" people will always say the half.
Yeah, no, listen, they get a certain point. You gotta just.
You're taking that half.
Yeah.
So she traveled by train to Hollywood.
Okay.
And she later recounted to her surprise that nobody from the studio was there to meet her at the train station. In fact, the studio had sent an employee and they waited for her, but that employee left because he, quote, saw no one who looked like an actress.
They didn't give her a picture. Well, I guess it would have been hard to send one.
Yeah.
I guess I
But
could have mailed
also,
one.
he's just like, I didn't see any pretty women, so I left.
Yeah. He looked around. He's like, no. Meanwhile, there's this 5'3.5" tall, chain smoking Boston dynamo running in the corner. Just nah. I'm glad Lucille Ball isn't here. You know what? We fix her a Cuban, not the cigar.
So she gets there and she fails her first screen test.
Of course.
But they don't dislike her, and she is used for several screen tests for other actors.
Yeah.
So they're like, we like you enough to keep you in the room to have people bounce
Yeah,
off
you're not
you,
a fit for this picture, maybe.
but like we don't love you.
Yeah. Who was she signed with at this time?
This is Universal.
Universal.
She's going to screen test for Universal.
Okay, so she's working for Comcast. Today, Universal is owned by Comcast.
This is a quote about this experience of this screen testing, right?
Yeah.
Quote, I was the most yankiest, most modest virgin who ever walked the earth. They laid me on a couch and I tested 15 men. They all had to lie on top of me and give me a passionate kiss. Oh, I thought I would die. I just thought I would die.
What?
Yes. She got cast and couched. 15 men lay on top of her and kiss her to see if she
gives off the aura.
She gives off the aura of yep. So
Okay.
I was like, that's pretty.
That's a different
pinpoint-
casting couch.
Pretty pinpoint on
Yeah.
old Hollywood stuff right there.
It very much is. But also, she's like this trained Broadway actress. They bring her out, they're like, smooch her on the couch. She doesn't look like she likes it. She's not going to work here in L.A.
The head of Universal considered terminating Davis's employment, but a cinematographer named Carl Friend, I don't know how to say the last name, told him she has, quote, lovely eyes, and would be suitable for a movie called Bad Sister, which is the movie she subsequently made her film debut in. So this one guy was like, she has great eyes. We got to get her in on these eyes.
Yeah.
That's not a good picture.
No,
for us.
I'm going for the one book. Hold on. The
Okay.
little one down here.
The little one. That's her first autobiography. She wrote.
These are the eyes he's talking about if you're watching on the
look
YouTube.
at them eyes. So Universal Studios renewed her contract for 3 months, and she appeared in small roles in a few films. After 1 year and 6 unsuccessful films, they elected not to renew her contract.
Okay.
So she's not doing great. She's just doing enough to get by.
But she's also not a star.
Yeah.
It sounds like she's pushed more to character actor
Yeah.
level, where she's like getting roles, she can do work.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So she is not feeling great about this, and she's she's preparing herself emotionally to return to New York, right? She's like, I don't think I'm going to make it here. I got to go back to this Broadway. But an actor named George Arliss chose Davis to be the lead female role in the Warner Brothers picture, The Man Who Played God. And for the rest of her life, she will always credit him with helping her get her big Hollywood break. So this is her big Hollywood break because of him in this film.
The Man Who Played God?
That's the name of the movie. It came out
Okay.
in 1932.
Do we know what that's about?
I didn't look it up, no.
Okay.
The Saturday Evening Post wrote about this film, about Bette Davis, quote, "She is not only beautiful, but she bubbles with charm." Oh, that's nice.
That's good.
Warner Brothers, because this was a Warner Brothers film, right?
Yeah.
Warner Brothers signed her to a 5-year contract. She would actually remain at Warner Brothers Studio for 18 years.
Okay.
So Universal obviously didn't take her, Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
But back then they shared, you could rent out actresses and actors. So
I don't like the way you said that.
That's true, though.
I know, but just saying it is,
They would send them over.
No,
Like,
I know. I mean,
yeah.
they would trade them because back then they would be under longer term contracts.
Yeah.
You weren't just signing per picture.
Yeah.
You were signing multi-year deals to make a lot of different movies.
Yeah.
They kind of treated it more like a football team.
Like a subscription service.
No. Well, they treat it more the way that sports teams do, which
Yeah.
that's what I mean by like you could trade them between. They didn't have salary caps, but they had like that sort of switch off with them, and you had a bench of people. So you would have people like Bette Davis who would get signed to something like Universal, and they're like, "Hey, we're gonna give you a chance. We're gonna put you on some of these smaller pictures," which was more like going to the farm leagues or the minors in baseball.
Yeah, exactly.
And then it's like, "Hey, it didn't work out. You know, you blew a bunch of baseball games."
Yeah.
I didn't want to do a Nancy Reagan joke there. But yeah, so that's kind of what it was talking about. But yeah, so she signs with them for 5 years.
But yeah,
And Arliss. Look at that. Arliss.
in 1933.
There's one older person listening to this who's like, Arliss was a good show on HBO. HBO's gone downhill ever since they canceled Arliss.
In 1933,
Yeah.
Warner Brothers Studios set to launch a major publicity campaign that would be the linchpin of launching their new star, Bette Davis.
In 1933.
Yeah, in 1933.
Nothing else going on that year.
Okay. Focus.
I'm focusing.
They're putting all their money behind her. They're like, she's going to be a star.
Okay.
Right? Like, this is the big moment.
Yeah.
She has a movie that's coming out. They're doing huge press and PR for her, right? That day that all that press goes out. And you know the way the press works, PR works, is they all get sent out through public
packets.
relations packets. And back then, it'd be like sent to newspapers and magazines. So it all got sent out, and they're like, "This is our new star, Bette Davis." Rah. And however, on that exact same day, Joan Crawford announced her divorce from Douglas Fairbanks Jr., and the New York Times relegated Davis's film and all the PR to a small paragraph in the review section, while devoting several pages to Crawford's news, and all the other papers and magazines followed suit. The movie flopped.
Because she didn't get any press because
She got
everyone was
so
talking
pressed
about Joan Crawford.
Because of Joan Crawford.
Because Joan Crawford was getting divorced.
Yeah.
Not even because Joan Crawford's in a movie.
No.
Just because Joan Crawford's marriage didn't work out.
Yeah.
She's getting a divorce, and they're like, the scandal.
Oh my God, a divorce?
Yeah. It would be it'd be very similar to like if you had like two people running for an office, and one of them is like doing every crime possible, and then the other one sneezes on camera.
Yeah. Oh God, how could he sneeze?
Oh, how could he sneeze?
So, so this is while this is happening. Okay, so her husband Harmon.
Yeah.
Okay, this is becoming very difficult for him to be married to such a successful woman, right? So like he
Yeah.
met her when she was 18, and he did like support her through this journey and like
Yeah.
going to Hollywood and the whole stuff. But I think when the reality of her being so successful hit, he wasn't prepared for that.
They've
as
also
a man.
they've also moved from Massachusetts, like kind of nowhere in Massachusetts,
Yeah.
to New York,
Yeah.
to across the country,
Yeah.
to LA,
Yeah.
to LA.
ally.
yeah.
But I think if you're
I'm adding
going
in
o-
all that,
yeah,
you know.
if you're showing up for all of that journey,
Yeah.
when you finally hit success, that's not the point to jump ship
Yeah,
and get resentful.
yeah.
So he got really resentful,
Okay.
and what he did was he decided to do power plays against his wife.
Oh, okay.
He refused to allow Bette Davis to purchase a house until he could afford to pay for it himself, because the whole thing is he's mad he doesn't have the money, that she is the breadwinner in the relationship.
Gotcha.
And he was able to do this and enforce his wishes because at the time, the husband had the management and control of community property in a marriage, which included all of his wife's earnings. And she could not obtain any credit without her husband's consent.
Oh. Mm-hmm. So like that, what they want in Project 2025.
Exactly. What
okay.
they want in
Okay.
2025.
Gotcha.
So,
So
again,
yeah, exactly.
Bette Davis was successful. She was the breadwinner. He supported her the whole way, but he felt bad.
Because
that
it wasn't, the checks weren't in his name when they came.
Even though it is their money. And he says, it's our money.
Yeah, but
I'm
have
in charge of
but
it.
I have total control.
Yeah. That's the way he was manipulating
This
the
feels
situation.
very much like, what was that one bag of shit? Steve Crowder.
Yes, very Steve Crowder.
This is the whole him. This is why we gotta get rid of no fault divorces.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
It's exactly that.
Yeah.
She had 20 more film roles. Her critical breakthrough role was as a vicious woman named Mildred Rogers in a movie called Human Bondage. It earned Davis her first major critical acclaim.
So Human Bondage is one of those ones. I've never seen it, but that is one of those ones where there was a while when DVDs were first like. Not when they first came out, but when like everyone had a DVD player before people started switching to Blu-ray and long before streaming services. I want to say like the mid 2000s, a lot of like record stores and places like that would always have like the movies that nobody owns a copyright to anymore.
Yeah.
And Human Bondage was one of them. A few Vincent Price films and a bunch of other like black and white movies like that were ones that people would just rip from the internet and print as DVDs. And I just remember seeing that on like double features a lot.
Yeah.
And being like, oh, I should get this, and then never getting it.
Never getting it.
But yeah.
Listen, we can stream all of these. There's some that I want to watch. I know I've seen some of these, but there's some after doing all this research, I'm like, I want to go back and watch that.
Yeah.
Because now I have all the back lore.
Yeah.
So, overall, right? So many actresses.
Is she still with Harmon this time? Is
Yeah,
Ham
she's still with
there?
she's still with Ham.
Okay.
He's being a dick, and she's still with him.
What is he doing, by the way, during this time? Did it ever say?
It doesn't ever say what he did, and I
Okay.
think that speaks volumes.
Well, it didn't speak for 5 volumes.
But yeah,
Ayo.
many actresses during this time feared and wouldn't sign up to play unsympathetic characters, unlikable roles, the villain, all that stuff. Whereas Bette Davis would always take those roles. She actually looked out for them. She was always in search of these characters that nobody else wanted because she believed that these were opportunities to show her range and her acting skills.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, there's something to that.
Yeah,
I mean, there's
absolutely.
definitely something to it. If no one else is taking them,
yeah.
like you're leaving, like there's no competition for
Yeah.
this.
And she's like, I'm going to play it crazy.
Yeah.
And so this is a quote I have from her when she was doing of Human Bondage.
Yeah.
There's a death scene, right? And she demanded with the directors in production that she be allowed to play the death scene incredibly realistically, because back then it'd be like, oh no, I'm dying, and then like they faint on the couch and it's like that's it.
Yeah.
But she wanted to do like a hyper realistic death scene, and the quote says, the last stages of consumption, poverty, and neglect are not pretty, and I intend to be convincing looking.
That's amazing.
So she was like all in.
Consumption, poverty, and neglect.
Are not pretty.
No, they aren't.
No, they're not.
But the way Hollywood would have done it back, and then it'd be like, oh, if only I had a sandwich and $1.
With a little smear of dirt on their nose.
Yeah, a little spin. Oh, and I'm so poor.
Just poorness.
I'm poor, hungry, and
Poorness has
cold.
gotten me.
Yeah.
The film was an incredible success.
Yeah.
However, she was not among the 3 nominees for the Academy Award for Best Actress that year.
There was only 3 nominees?
Yes. They're women, okay?
Okay.
You have to remember what we're talking about.
No, I know. It's also one of those wild ones, too, because, like, the Academy, when it first started, like, nobody gave a shit. And, like,
Yeah.
over time, it gets to the level it's at.
Yeah. When Davis was not nominated for an Academy Award for Of Human Bondage, the Hollywood Citizen News, which is a newspaper magazine, questioned the omission, like on their front page. They were like, how the fuck is she getting snubbed?
Yeah.
And Norma Shearer, herself a nominee, one of the three, joined the campaign to have Davis nominated. So an entire campaign of people were like, yo, we have to nominate her. You have to put her in the running.
They were all, so you're telling me is both the press and other people in the industry, a part, maybe people from the same party, were like, hey, we have the wrong nominee.
One of the nominees. Was like,
he's
get
just
her
like,
up here.
yeah, get another nominee.
Yeah. This prompted an announcement from the Academy president, Howard Estabrook, who said that under the circumstances, quote, any voter may write on the ballot his or her personal choice for the winners, thus allowing the only time in the Academy's history the consideration of a candidate not officially nominated for the award. Bette Davis was the first ever write-in nomination.
Did she win?
No.
Oh, okay.
But she was the first write-in, baby. She was the first write-in.
Okay. That's incredible. Oh, man. But there was all that push for a new nominee and even a write-in campaign, and it didn't work.
Yeah. Well,
the wrong person still won.
Okay.
This isn't about something else.
I can tell that you're not weaving a different story into
I'm not.
this episode.
Listen, there's no weaving. There's no storytelling here. This is about Bette Davis. Who would ever think that this could be a metaphor or an allegory at all that could ever be placed into a different century, much less time?
The uproar led to a change in Academy voting procedures.
Oh.
Imagine.
Imagine
Imagine if you could change voting procedures.
Oh, man.
Wherein nominations were determined by the votes of eligible members rather than a small committee.
Oh, so they didn't leave it up to like a delegate of people that would be considered superior to like a super delegate group wasn't allowed to be the one to choose who the nominees were.
Yeah.
It was actually put back to the voters who they themselves were also putting in the nominations by doing the write-in part.
Yeah.
Oh.
This attitude of ours right now is going to come to bite us in the butt. So
I don't
it's going
give
to be
a
pretty
fuck.
funny. So she begins filming a movie called Dangerous in 1935. Dangerous.
Okay.
During the filming, she falls hard for her co-star. His name is I can't say his name. Frank Shoutouts. He's French. It's Franchot. Frank Shout. Franchot. Tone, Tone. So I'm going to go by his last name, Tone.
Franchoton. No, this is how you say it. Ready? This is how I'm going to say it.
Yeah.
Franchoton.
So I fell in love with Franchoton professionally and privately, she said.
I might be. I'm pretty sure I'm wrong. But can you please just go, ton,
Franchoton.
ton, ton.
Everything about him reflected his elegance, from his name to his manners. So
his name was Franchoton.
So she's fallen in love with her co-star.
Yeah, but
right?
not Ham?
Don't tell him about
She
this.
turns her back on
This
Ham?
is a quote I pulled from her book.
Yeah.
Don't tell her husband about it. Unfortunately, Joan Crawford got to Franchoton first, and the couple would announce their engagement during the filming of Dangerous. Quote, he was madly in love with her, Davis said. They would meet each day for lunch, and he would return to set, his face covered in lipstick. He was honored to have a great star in love with him. I was jealous, of course.
Wait, covered in lipstick? Like he's like a cartoon character with big old puckers?
Pepe Le Pew over here.
Oh no, Jean Crawford cannot keep her lips upon me face. Wait, why did I went
I don't
weird
know.
at the end there. Franchoton.
These are all quotes from her about it. I have never forgiven her for that, and I never will.
Joan Crawford. She's never forgiven Joan Crawford
For stealing Franchoton. She took him from me. She did it coldly, deliberately, and with complete ruthlessness.
Wow.
Joan Crawford, meanwhile, is quoted as saying that Tone, quote, thought Bette was a good actress, but he never thought of her as a woman.
Jesus Christ.
God Christ.
Woo! 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 Imagine if they could rap.
Kendrick
Imagine
Lamar
if
all
this had
day.
been Kendrick and Drake going back and forth as
Honestly,
Joan Crawford
knowing
and
what
Bette
I know
Davis.
about these two, there's no Drake.
There's no Drake. It's just two Kendricks.
There's just two Kendricks. It'd be incredible to witness. Davis was nominated for an Academy Award for her performance in Dangerous.
Okay.
One reviewer said of this film, quote, "I think Bette Davis would probably have been burned as a witch if she had lived 200 or 300 years ago. She gives the curious feeling of being charged with power, which can find no ordinary outlet." End quote. That's a pretty cool quote.
That's a pretty cool, yeah.
Like, you would be burned as a witch because you give so much power to the screen.
Yeah.
I was like, that's a good
Well,
quote.
I mean, to be fair, if they did show her films during like the Salem times,
oh, for sure,
you would be killed because
of the
how
film.
are you casting? you are casting moving men across the wall.
The electricity. Where's that
hear
coming
the
from?
voices that are not here.
Like, we are high on corn fungus.
Yeah. We put belt buckles on our heads and our shoes.
Not our pants, but not our pants.
Not our pants.
At this Academy Award ceremony, right? Because again, she's nominated.
Yeah.
Bette Davis doesn't think she's going to win. Right?
She doesn't think.
She
okay.
does not think she's going to win. And so she wore a very plain navy dress. It's actually an old costume from one of her previous films. Nice. So she is not all dolled up, right?
Yeah, she's like, why waste the money? Why waste the time?
Also, because she doesn't get dolled up or whatever, because she's actually doing it as a slight to Jack Warner, who's the head of Warner Brothers. Mm-hmm. Because Jack Warner makes her go to this. She doesn't think she's going to win, so she doesn't want to go.
And this is also before it was broadcaster and that different stuff back in the day. Like, this was like, there would be photographers, but they're not.
It's not live streamed.
Yeah, it's not live streaming anywhere.
So
Their television
didn't want to
exist.
go because she didn't want anyone to see her lose.
Yeah.
And Jack Warner makes her go because he wants her to attend as part of a protest to the formation of the Screen Actors Guild Union.
Wait, what?
So the Screen Actors Guild Union is like doing a push with like their union rights and bennies, and Jack Warner doesn't want to give in to them. And so for some reason, there's some power play where he's going to have Bette Davis go. I don't know. It was so hard to figure out. But all I know is that she said she dressed poorly as a slight to Jack Warner, who was forcing her to go.
Okay. So maybe in the contract she had to go to this, and maybe because of the union stuff, they're like, hey, no actors are going because fuck the studios.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe. And she's like, if I have to go, then I'm going to dress shitty.
Yeah.
But also I'm not going to win, so who cares?
Yeah, exactly. So it's all of that, right?
Yeah.
When her name was read out as the winner, Freshatone got up and embraced her, while his now wife, Joan Crawford, refused to budge and kept her back to Davis. After Tone called Joan out for being rude, Crawford supposedly turned to Davis and said with a sneer, "Dear Bet, what a lovely frock."
Okay. This makes no... Those two... The fact it's so early in this story is crazy. Because, like, I know from watching the show of, like, where this goes.
Yeah.
And, like, in the show, they don't make it clear how much they hated each other before they started working together on in the feud thing. Mm-hmm. This is wild.
Yeah.
This is fucking crazy.
Yeah. So she wins her first Academy Award, and she nicknames it Oscar. Davis states that she gave the statue the name Oscar because its posterior resembled that of her husband, whose middle name was Oscar. Oh. However, the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences officially has a different story.
Okay.
So Bette
What's
Davis,
their story?
They won't. I didn't read it. I just don't believe them.
Yeah.
I think she did.
No,
she's an icon.
I don't doubt that she
has
did.
the first write-in.
Yeah.
I think she was like, look at my little Oscar butt. And then it stuck.
Yeah.
And I bet it did. I bet that's true.
Well, the statues have changed over time, too.
Yeah.
Because, like, before, it wasn't just a man alone on a little pedestal.
Yeah.
It was, like, a plaque with a guy to the side. And, like, that's supposed to be, like, the actor.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be that thing to the side. And they, like, slowly changed over time until it became that little gold man.
Yeah.
But that's so funny.
So she claims ownership of
I'll
the
give it
title
to her.
Oscar. I'm giving it to her.
Honestly,
I'm giving it to her.
Yeah.
So there's a whole year's worth of fight with Warner Brothers because Warner Brothers sues her. And I'm not going to get too much into it, but I'm going to give you a general of what it was. Mm-hmm. Basically, Bette Davis demanded a salary increase on her contract with Warner Brothers.
Because she won an Oscar.
Yep, exactly. And she was earning about $1,250 per week.
Okay.
Jack Warner offered her an increased salary of $2,250 per week, which she refused. She wanted $3,500 a week, plus all radio rights and permission to make outside pictures. She was refused this, and so she refused to work. She was supposed to be filming a movie. She flew to London on, quote, vacation with Ham. And Warner Brothers was losing money because they had rented color cameras. And the renting of those color cameras cost so much per day. Yeah. And so every day she was in London, they were losing a lot of money for Technicolor. But then she signed a contract to do a movie in London. And then Warner Brothers sued her in London for breaking contract terms there. And she did lose. She ended up having to pay Warner Brothers $80,000 in restitution.
Damn.
But she ends up still getting her raise. So
she still
got her raise. So like the negotiations were insane. She ended up having to pay it back.
Wait, hold on. So she had to pay 80, but she was getting $3K a week, right?
Yeah.
And there's 52 weeks of the year.
Yep.
So so 150. So she still made, but she originally was making what, one?
Yeah.
So she's still up 30. She's still up 30K a year.
She made profit, baby.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying is like doing all that shit, even losing the 80,000, she's still up 30 from where she was originally. Fuck yeah.
Yeah, dude.
She's a witch. That's a witch move right there.
So
if you did this shit back in the day and you weren't like the queen mother, you know what I mean? Like only Eleanor of Aquitaine could get away with shit like this. Like that shit's crazy.
So she begins filming. She's still with Warner Brothers, obviously, right? So she begins filming another movie called her and Jack Warner, who was played by
Stanley Tucci. And when we watched
they have a
Food.
long-term like love-hate relationship.
Oh yeah.
So like it's just you're always gonna hear Jack Warner brought up.
Yeah. Well, the thing is about Jack Warner too is like beyond obviously bag of shit, but also he's one of those ones where it's like you can see why.
Yeah.
You can see why he
had
worked.
the Midas touch
versus David Zaslav, who's currently running Warner Brothers Discovery. That's the guy who keeps taking stuff and shelving it all the time. So like the Batgirl movie and a bunch of other different things. He's like, I think he just destroyed Cartoon Network.
Yeah, he just like
he doesn't know what it is he actually doesn't know how to run a large organization.
There it is.
Is really what it comes down to at the end of the day. All he knows is how to do accounting chicanery. So like he knows how to like cook the books enough each quarter.
Yeah. And
he's really just trying to like figure out a way to do another merger, because whenever you merge, then people give you a little bit more time.
Yeah.
So he's really just trying to consolidate until it's too big to fail.
What a way to make creative content. I wonder why social media is crushing them.
Yeah. It's almost like I wonder why people are turning to long form podcasts and YouTube channels.
Because I put in more effort than Warner Brothers executive.
Fucking yeah.
So she begins filming this movie called Jezebel. During Jezebel's production, Davis got into a relationship with the director, William Wyler.
Oh.
She later describes him as, quote, love of my life, and said that making that film was, quote, the time in my life of the most perfect happiness.
Really? Making Jezebel.
Making Jezebel.
She made a movie called Jezebel and was cheating on her husband?
Yeah, deeply in love.
You know what? Method actor. That's a method actor right there.
Exactly. Jezebel won her second Academy Award for Best Actress.
Woo!
This would start, this is the first of 5 consecutive years in which she will receive Best Actress nomination. So from this point forward, every year she's going to get nominated.
Every year she's the Best Actress.
She's going to get nominated.
Yeah.
She doesn't always win, but she's always going to get nominated, basically.
So at this point, so she's at like Meryl Streep level.
Yeah.
Where it's like, we don't, we just
she's
reserve.
Here. She got a seat.
Yeah, no, I'm saying she has a reserved spot.
Yeah.
It's weird if she doesn't get nominated,
exactly.
kind of thing. All right.
So
what year are we at?
We're 1938.
1938 now. Nothing else going on in the world.
Oh, you know what else happened in 1938? Fresh Tone and Joan Crawford announced they're getting divorced.
Fresh Tone! Maybe he sees twice winning Academy Award actress as a woman now, eh?
Also in 1938.
Maybe now, eh?
Bette Davis's husband, Ham Nelson, obtained evidence that Davis was engaged in a sexual relationship with Howard Hughes and subsequently files for divorce.
Wait, Howard Hughes? Mm-hmm. Well, you said wasn't Wiley? Wait.
You let Bette Davis do whatever she wants to do.
Wait, Howard Hughes, the Spruce Goose Howard Hughes? Wait, I'm asking for clarification.
I believe so. Yeah, that's the actor Howard Hughes.
No, not the actor. The rich crazy person?
Hold on, let me see. I will confirm.
I need confirmation on this because like there's only Howard Hughes I know of is the aviator. Howard Hughes.
Howard Hughes was an aerospace engineer, business magnate, film producer, investor, and philanthropist, and a pilot.
Yeah.
Yeah, Howard Hughes.
That Howard Hughes.
Yeah.
Okay. That's insane.
Yeah, the Spruce Goose.
Yeah. He built the largest plane at the time, I believe. Or I don't know if it's ever.
Yeah, so
it was made out of wood.
When I was reading about this, I assumed it was like Roger Rabbit style, like some detective taking pictures of her and Howard Hughes, like in a dark alleyway.
No, it's just crazy. It's Howard Hughes. Because the thing is, I don't know if you know this about Howard Hughes. He eventually goes insane.
Okay.
He's so rich that he's able to go like super insane.
Well, yeah.
And like he's a hypochondriac.
Yeah, I know he had OCD, right?
Yeah, he had like it's extreme OCD, and he basically ended up in like I think it's like the penthouse of like this hotel in Vegas because he ended up like owning like a Vegas hotels, and he would only hire Mormons.
Okay.
But he was like afraid to like cut his fingernails and his hair, and so he's like this long fingernailed crazy old man, like surrounded by Mormons because he knew they wouldn't gamble and steal from them because of their beliefs.
Hey, that's the same reason they hired them to the FBI.
And it's the same reason why they're also very heavily in the gambling industry in Vegas. And it's like, it's one of those weird ones. That's just like, the fact that he's here is just weird to me because he's always this like weirdo on the edge of things in my mind. And then the Spruce Goose, which again, he was able to get like to take off like very short, but he was just like, I did it, I flew it, and then landed it, and then they never used it again.
You just got to get it up once.
Yeah. Oh. Well, all right.
So, the next film she's making is called Dark Victory. I've seen this one.
Okay.
Dark Victory. She is really emotional during the making of this film because she is really sad about her divorce.
Okay.
Right? Like, even for falling in love with 3 other men during this story so far, she's still upset about her divorce. But let's take a quick break before we get into Dark Victory.
You want to take a quick break?
Yeah.
All right. When we come back, we're going to learn all about this Dark Victory, and we're going to learn more about Bette Davis. We back.
Oh my goodness. Are you ready?
I am ready.
Okay. So she's making this film Dark Victory.
Okay.
She is really upset about the divorce.
Okay.
And she's really channeling that into the acting in this one. Okay. Fun fact, though, in this movie, Humphrey Bogart, supporting role, and Ronald Reagan. Okay.
Wait, so Humphrey Bogart and Ronald Reagan
are
the supporting actors
to Bette Davis.
And
okay, so when I was reading the books,
Yeah.
I found an incredible quote about Ronald Reagan.
Yeah.
Of her experience with him, and so I have to read it to you from this
Okay.
book. So this is from the book This and That. The political history of President Reagan is an enigma to those of us who knew him then. He was a liberal Democrat for years. From the day he was hired as host for a TV series sponsored by General Electric, he became a staunch Republican. Prior to that, Ronnie was president of the Screen Actors Guild, and it was during his presidency that actors lost the battle to be paid residuals for reruns of all of the many films we had made. This was unforgivable to all members of the Guild. Our films are shown over and over and over on TV, and now with the advent of video cassettes, our loss is even greater. In light of today's witch hunts, when all political figures are targets, it is amazing that President Reagan, a former Hollywood actor, does not have something in his past to be revealed. It must mean that he was as dull as his first wife, Jane Wyman, said he was.
Damn.
In another one of her books, she does talk about how much she hates fucking Ronald Reagan. She hates him from day one.
Yeah, she just hates Ronald Reagan.
She's like, he's a bore and a liar, and she doesn't trust him.
Yeah.
She's also like a hardcore Democrat.
But also what she says in there too about, how he changes because of General Electric. Like that is a big deal in Ronald Reagan's life. It's like the second he gets a General Electric contract, like he completely changes as a person.
Yeah.
Because it's the only work he can get.
Yeah.
And then they're like, go out there and go tell people universal health care is bad.
Yeah.
And call everybody a communist.
And ruin the fact that they can't get residuals.
Yeah.
Like for every actor. Like
yeah.
Oh, it's just perfectly Reagan. So She has a bunch more hits. I'm going to try to speed through this. She's their most profitable star at this point.
Warner Brothers.
Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
She's the most profitable star. They love her. They really take into consideration her image, and all images of her will always be emphasizing her distinctive eyes. A lot of close-ups, a lot of stuff like that.
Because she got Bette Davis.
She's in a relationship with her former co-star George Brent, who proposes marriage. Davis refuses because she met this other guy named Arthur Farnsworth, a New England innkeeper. And David and Farnsworth are married in Arizona in December of 1940, her second marriage.
That's so like George Brent I've heard of.
Yeah, no, she said no.
He's like a famous actor.
She said no.
And she's like, get out of here, George.
I want a New England innkeeper.
Oh, he knows how to turn a sheet or two.
In 1941, Davis becomes the first female president of the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences.
Oh.
The committee members did not like her, though, because of her brash manner and radical proposals. So she goes
That's the Academy that runs the Oscars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
she's the first write-in and then eventually just takes it over.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So her initiative, she gets this role, and she has two main initiatives that she wants to push to enact, right? The first being that since her election into this role, Pearl Harbor has been attacked, leading to calls for the cancellation of the Oscars, which had centered around this idea of dinner and dancing, like it wasn't appropriate. So she argued that it would be more appropriate to scrap the dinner and dancing and present the awards in a large theater, charging at least $25 a seat, and then donating all the proceeds to war relief efforts.
Yeah.
The members of the board were horrified and said that, quote, such an evening would rob the Academy of all dignity.
Wait, so she was just like, hey, we should make the modern Oscars.
Yeah.
And they were like, never, how dare
How
you?
could you?
Without dinner and dancing?
What would we do? Her other idea...
Did they do her idea?
We'll get there. Okay. So her other idea, she had two. She went them with two. This one is a little dicey, and these are her quotes, everybody.
Hold on. I'm already scared.
Yeah. Okay. Her other idea was to revoke the right of Hollywood's thousands of extras to vote for the Oscars. So all the extras were allowed to vote. Okay. Yeah. She argued that many of them, quote, this is her quote, Bette Davis's quote, lacked taste, culture, and didn't even speak English.
Yeah.
And also, this is kind of the bigger thing. Also, there were indications that their votes could be swung based on whichever studio hired them around time of balloting, along with mob ties. And so I was like, mob ties, that's crazy. And so I did take a veer off into many tabs about mob ties.
Yeah.
And this could be a whole other episode. The mob was so strong when it came to studios and how all this was run, that the mob was pushing these groups of extras to vote certain ways. They'd pay them off. Like, oh, we're going to hire you for this role, and you'll have a salary for this long if you vote for this, right?
Yeah.
So they could push things at their whim to get their guy to win.
Gotcha.
So, also one little mob tie thing. Al Capone sent somebody to LA. He heard that Hollywood was making money. Al Capone in Chicago was like, I heard LA's making money. So he sends out a guy. He sends out, I think, two guys to go to LA and see if they can make some connections, see some ways to make some money. They find some ways, they make some, networking out there, Yeah. And Al Capone goes out to LA. And when he gets there, stays in a hotel. And in the morning, the police chief of the Los Angeles police is at his door and tells him he's not welcome. We already have businessmen here. You can leave. And Al Capone was threatened and scared out of LA and never went back. That's how strong the mafia in LA and Hollywood was. They scared Al Capone.
Yeah, with the cops.
The cops.
The cops
That's
showed
fucking
up.
insane.
The LAPD showed up and we're like, hey, bud.
Hey, bud.
We got this.
You don't want none of this beef.
Crazy.
It's so nuts. So I was like, I can't go down this fucking hole too long because it's so crazy.
Insane. No, that's so wild. It's Yeah, the entire thing. But also what you're saying, though, about extras versus now, like now because of CG especially, like the art of extras has been, it exists, but nowhere near what it used
Yeah.
to. Because now they can do 50 people can be 1,000 people in a crowd.
Yeah.
Because of cloning, where they can take different groups of people and move them around.
Many jobs stolen.
Many jobs stolen from the mafia.
So
no, but hold on, just real
sorry.
quick. With a lot of the things, especially like the biblical pictures and stuff like that, you would have some of these things where they would literally have to hire 6,000 people.
Yeah.
6,000 individuals. And so they could be doing anything before this. You could have literal ditch diggers or people who are just selling fruit on the side of the road. And then, hey, for 2 days, we're all going to pretend that we're in ancient Egypt fleeing.
Here's money.
We're all.
Stand here. Don't
stand
smile.
Here. You're going to be in the background. Nobody can see
Don't
you.
look at
We
the
just
camera.
need it to be a physical human being.
Yeah.
So that is a big part of it.
Exactly.
Which one of these do they take?
So Davis, while she's putting these out there and she's getting a lot of pushback, right?
Yeah.
They don't like either of these ideas. They hate both of these ideas.
Yeah.
Davis finds out that she was actually only given this title as a figurehead only. They just wanted her because she was so popular.
Oh.
And so she finds out that they're not actually going to take any of her input, and she immediately resigns. She's like, fuck you. If you're not going to listen to what I'm saying, I'm out. 2 months later.
It's crazy they didn't tell her.
Yeah.
Like that part's wild.
Especially her, because she's known to be very bossy.
Yeah.
And like you should tell her if that's what you're gonna do.
Yeah, like listen, here's the thing, like if somebody's gonna be brought in,
a woman's gonna tell us what to do.
No, but also that not only that, it's just like, hey, listen, hey Betty, the role is president.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. I just have to just look presidential. All you have to do is look presidential. Oh, but I'm gonna make no decision. This sounds like a role for Joan Crawford.
Yes. Not.
Someone without any ideas.
So 2 months later, the 14th Oscars took place. Still as a dinner, no dancing, and no formal attire. And the attendees were asked to support the war effort. So they were asked to make a donation, right? Extras did retain the right to vote until they tipped the scale in the Best Picture race against Citizen Kane, to the Academy's incredible embarrassment. So when Citizen Kane was up,
which is considered one of the greatest movies of all
the greatest
time.
one was it lost an Oscar because the extras had voted for a different film. Can you name the film? No. I didn't even write it down because it's so not important. The film that actually won that year.
Well, what was it though?
I forget. It was called like The Greenskeepers something.
Oh, it's just some movie.
It's just some movie.
Well, that's like Saving Private Ryan losing to the Shakespeare in Love.
Yeah.
That was famous because the Weinstein campaign and
Exactly.
everything else that went with that.
So within a few years, the Academy had implemented both of Davis's ideas. They took away their right to vote
for extras.
For each and every extra. They formed basically like an extras committee, I think is what happened, and then they had one vote in the whole thing. It's weird.
That's weird.
But also then
that sounds like the plebiscite in the fucking like ancient Rome.
Yeah. So listen,
that's a weird way to do things like that. Yeah.
I don't know. In 1942, Bette Davis and John Garfield organized and created the Hollywood Canteen. Do you know what the Hollywood Canteen is?
I have no idea.
Okay, the Hollywood Canteen is incredible, and the more I read about it, the more I was like, I'm obsessed with the Hollywood Canteen. So Bette Davis ended up with organizing 42 unions and guilds, industries, actors, musicians, carpenters, electricians, writers, everybody she could find. She organized all of the unions and guilds together, along with thousands of celebrity volunteers from the Hollywood Victory Committee and beyond. And they bought this property called the Hollywood Canteen, and basically they would host food and dancing and entertainment for servicemen who were staffed in the LA area during World War II.
Okay, yeah, because especially there was a lot of Navy guys there because of the shipyards and stuff like that. And just for people who don't know the term canteen, that is just kind of in general like a restaurant.
Yeah.
It's just a place where you can go and you can go get drinks and you can go get food and all that other different stuff.
But
It's just another word for restaurant.
It was a big restaurant, but had dancing and, it had a stage for performances.
Yeah.
So, like, it looked like one of those Hollywood sets where you would see, like, Singing in the Rain happen.
Yeah.
But also it had, like, a bar and a buffet-style food and waitresses.
Yeah, but when you go watch movies from the 40s, too, when there's, like, sailors walking through stuff, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? It's just like sailors are walking around everywhere. Everywhere you turn, there's just a
bunch
sailor.
of sailors.
And it's like, Bette Davis was like, we gotta make this real.
So the canteen had a paid staff of 9 people.
Okay.
9 people worked there
Okay.
on salary. They had 6,000 volunteer workers. Okay? A war effort.
Yeah.
So I'm going to read from This and That. This is her second biography where she talks about the canteen. The canteen was in operation for the duration of the war. On any given night, a serviceman might dance with Betty Grable to Harry James Band. Betty Grable and Harry James met and fell in love at the Hollywood Canteen and were eventually married. A soldier might ask Hedy Lamarr to pour another cup of coffee while Marlene Dietrich served sandwiches and Basil Rathbone carried a tray of used dishes back to the kitchen. Each night we averaged 2 shifts of 3,000 men from 7 p.m. to midnight, Monday through Saturday. Right? So this is an incredible effort.
Imagine today. Today that would be... You would go, and it was Hailey Bieber and Kim Kardashian are bussing tables.
Exactly. It's exactly that.
It's that level.
Yeah.
And just all these other like random people. Like this is Jesus. But also, you know what it is too? There is a difference, I think, between Hollywood back then versus fame and all these different things today.
Yeah.
Because of the disconnect of like back then, like an actor, it's like, yeah, you're famous, but it's like people, like you were still a person.
Yeah.
Especially in like LA and in that industry because everyone kind of touched it.
Yeah.
I don't know if they would do it today.
No, I don't. There'd be a safety issue probably.
There'd be a huge safety issue.
People wouldn't want to do it. And also, like, I think it goes back to that, like, we're coming out of that era of when the hyper rich did stuff for people.
Yeah.
You know, like Carnegie Mellon. Like,
no, but I'm saying
you're
not seeing Jack Warner there.
Yeah.
The thing is these are all of Jack Warner's employees.
Yeah.
That's the way this is being viewed.
Well, it's fun you say that because I'm going to read you another excerpt about what was happening at the canteen.
Okay.
Okay. Let's see, the canteen employed a paid staff of 9. Okay. Oh, here we go. In the first year, this is Betty Davis talking. In the first year, I encountered the egos and the politics that were a permanent part of Hollywood's scene. When we first organized the canteen, I appeared before the Victory Committee, made up of some of the town's most powerful stars. This committee was in charge of giving permission for actors to appear in camp shows and the like. I asked for and received permission for the canteen to call actors and actresses directly without referring each request through the Victory Committee. After our success had been established, we had created a certain amount of envy among such groups as the USO and the Navy Wives organization. I was summoned to a meeting of the Victory Committee and told that this permission was to be withdrawn. I could no longer contact the people we needed without going through the committee. I replied that what they were asking would make the canteen impossible to run. We had to be able to call Spencer Tracy or Marlene Dietrich at the last minute and ask them to appear that evening. I reminded the committee that an understanding had been reached on this point before we opened. I suggested that they refer to the minutes of that meeting. The chairman, James Cagney, said, quote, regrettably, the minutes of that meeting have been lost. So they no longer felt bound to by whatever commitment they had made. I rose out of my seat and I said, quote, Mr. Cagney, ladies and gentlemen, I will give you until tomorrow morning to give me back your original permission. If not, I will have no choice but to close the canteen. I will so advise the 42 guilds and unions who are part of the founding of the canteen, and I will send a statement to the press if you have not changed your minds by tomorrow morning. The silence hung like lead as I walked out of the room. The next morning at 6 a.m., I received a telephone call telling me that the committee, having met all night, had agreed to let us continue as we have in the past, calling the stars personally. I was overjoyed at their decision. Now I would not have to close the canteen and the GIs would continue to meet Hollywood celebrities. She is so that bitch. And like, I love her.
5'3".
5'3". 100 cigarettes a day. 100. Her words. 100 cigarettes a day. Just.
Mr. Cagney, if this is what you would like to do, then I will inform the 42 guilds plus the press in the morning.
It's okay, crazy.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. You
know what it is?
What?
She's following a thing that I think her only goal during this is keep the canteen open, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's her only goal. So when they're like, oh, well, you shouldn't do that. You should play ball with us. She's like, fuck you.
Yeah.
My goal is the canteen.
Yeah.
And if we can't do that, then we'll close the canteen. And they're like, oh, but shit, Betty, don't. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. The Navy Wives Association is sad. The Navy Wives. Oh, boo-hoo-hoo. Maybe go get a new husband. Like, Jesus Christ.
She's like, I'm on my third. No, I think she's in her second here.
Second.
Yeah, second. We're still at second husband.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Oh, spoilers.
Spoiler alert. There might be more
Jesus.
husbands.
Why don't you call Ronald Reagan the moron?
Fucking boring ass idiot. I love calling somebody a bore back then. Can you imagine?
Oh, my God.
Okay, here's another quote.
I have to be able to call Spencer Tracy.
I gotta be able to call him.
I love the fact also that she's just name dropping
She always
hard.
name drops
She's just name dropping
everybody.
fucking everyone.
I know everybody. The end.
The best part too is that like I'm slowly starting to realize as you're reading these, I'm like, oh, those are big names, but like some people are just like, I don't know what the fuck they're talking
You
about.
gotta Google them.
Listen,
You gotta Google them, y'all.
These people are huge.
Big deals.
This would be like just be like, yeah, oh, okay. You want Tom Cruise to come by?
Oh, I'm
and
sorry.
hang out with the
I'm
sailor?
not allowed to call George Clooney anymore.
Oh, okay.
Also, but like, movie celebrities aren't as big as they used to be.
No, again, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like it's cool.
Oh, I can't call Mr. Beast. That'll get
Listen,
the kids.
whoa.
That'll get the kids.
Whoa. You tell an 18-year-old sailor he can't hang out with Mr. Beast. You tell him that, James Cagney.
Who are you, James Cagney?
Kai Cenat is around the corner right now. I will call him on my phone.
Oh my God. He is causing traffic jams.
Yep.
All right, number 3. I have them numbered. That's why I'm
Yeah.
saying number 3. During the Christmas season, watching the faces of the GIs trying so hard to be cheerful made all of us die a little. How homesick they all were. One Christmas Eve, there was a knock on the kitchen door of the canteen. I opened it, and there stood Bing Crosby and his 3 very young sons. He grinned at me and said, I thought we could help out tonight. They sang Christmas carols for the next hour. There was not a dry eye in the canteen. Bing's sons represented everything the GIs were fighting for, a country without war and a future for little boys like these.
God damn. Oh, rumpa-bum-bum. Jesus, man.
Okay, I have to pull up a picture to show you
I'm
something.
just telling, like, here's the thing. Like, when your propaganda comes naturally,
Yeah.
fuck.
Yeah. Patriotism deep.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. It's just like, God damn.
Wait, so I have to pull up this picture to show you, and then I think we should share this picture because it's incredible once I
Okay.
read this quote to you. The glamorous Marlene Dietrich one night came straight from the set of Kismet, covered in gold paint. I had never seen 2,000 men screaming in a state of near hysteria. Marlene was one of the most generous with the amount of time she spent at the canteen. So, okay, Marlene Dietrich comes in from filming because the canteen's very close to the studios, right? And I want to show you what she was wearing when she leaves set from the movie Kismet. Here you go. This is my computer. You can scroll up and down. And we should share this because it's fucking...
Oh, my God.
She walked into a room of sailors and GIs.
Oh, my God.
Her legs are painted gold from her belly button down.
Can I hold it up?
No.
I can hold it up here.
So her legs are painted
sorry.
gold. She has on what we would call like a Princess Leia gold bra, but her whole chest is basically out. She has a high pony with like a veil like I Dream of Jeannie. It's incredible. Scandalous.
Yeah.
You would not be walking
This
around dressed
would-
like that.
Listen. They didn't know what to do with this
They
back
didn't
then.
know what they were just panic.
These are guys from Iowa.
Yeah.
These are guys from Iowa who were being sent to fight Japan. And they're like, all right, I
And
guess
they had
we just
to
got
leave through LA to
yeah,
get to Japan.
Yeah, and they're like, all right, I guess we got to go from LA to Hawaii. I don't know, man. They kissed their mom who's wearing a gingham dress
Yeah.
in the hills of Iowa. I've been told Iowa's not as flat as I believe. And then the slightly rolling hills of Iowa.
Yeah.
And then they got on a train because again they don't fly back then.
Yep.
They got on a train, spent days getting all the way to the Navy Yard in LA, and they're going through all their training and they're learning all this different stuff. And then they're like, hey, we'll go down to this canteen. There's gonna be some celebrities. They're like, oh man, Spencer Tracy, man. Oh, that'd be cool. And then Marlene Dietrich walks in dressed like that.
We're not ready.
Oh my God.
They were not ready. Okay, so the last quote I wanted to read you about the canteen. Okay. Each night in the canteen, there were many GIs who came from the South. As president, I refused to have the black GIs put in one section of the canteen. They were free to mingle with the rest. Why not? They got the same bullets as the whites and therefore should have the same treatment. This was naturally a big problem. I was well aware of that I was well aware that if Southern white GI danced with a black hostess at the canteen, there could be trouble. If an incident occurred, the band was instructed to play the Star-Spangled Banner. We had to resort to that only once or twice in the entire years we operated the canteen. So
hitting them with the
hit 'em with
Star-Spangled
the
Banner.
calm down. You calm down.
Everybody start saluting. Everybody start saluting right now.
So then I was reading about this, and Bette Davis was the only white member of Hattie McDaniel's USO group. So Hattie McDaniel is the black actress that played Mammy in Gone with the Wind.
Yeah.
And so
Who won an Oscar.
Yes,
Yeah.
who also an Oscar, was not allowed to be in the same buildings.
Yeah.
So she started a USO group, and Bette Davis joined that USO group because of this situation.
Okay.
So she was a big part of the merging and would fight tooth and nail every single person that would be like they should have their own canteen or they need to be separate, and she would be like, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Like, no. Like, so this was like, she has a lot of problematic shit that happens, but these are the moments where like you're like, okay, she's trying.
Yeah.
Also, Mammy, Hattie McDaniel, the actress, incredible. I started reading her life story. Incredible.
Yeah.
Well, I was like, what? She was a part of she lived in Sugar Hill. That was the one they tried to build the freeway through in LA. It was, oh my God. So anyway, then Hollywood, Warner Brothers and them got together, and they decided they were going to make a movie about the Hollywood Canteen.
Oh.
In 1944, they made a movie called Hollywood Canteen, and it was a very, what they would call titular, right? Like it's very baudy. It's a bawdy movie about the sailors and the GIs and the beautiful famous people there.
Yeah.
It was a fictional love story, it's all fiction, but Warner Brothers donated 40% of the proceeds from the film to the Hollywood Canteen.
Okay.
The canteen opened its doors for the final time on Thursday, November 22nd, 1945, which was Thanksgiving Day. More than 5,000 GIs flowed in and out enjoying turkey dinners and entertainment. The Hollywood Canteen had entertained, by this point, well over 3 million men in uniform. So for the years they were open, over 3 million men had come through and, had a meal or danced with a celebrity or whatever.
That's a crazy number.
Yeah. It's incredible.
I've never even heard of this.
Yeah.
Like, that's wild. Like, that's a wild thing to never even heard. Like, 3 million people have gone through there. When you think about how many, like, grandpas and great-grandpas had been through that canteen.
Yeah.
And
that's what I was thinking. I was like, I'm reading these books and I'm like, what is this Hollywood Canteen? What is she talking about? And then as I'm like, this is actually incredibly interesting.
Yeah.
This is like such a niche war effort. And it was just like, once I got into it, I was like, oh, I have to read up everything about this. Once the canteen had officially closed, the remainder of the funds, totaling, hold on, I gotta make my screen smaller because I saved a little note on this side. Okay, so the canteen officially closes and they still have funds available.
Okay.
They have $500,000, including profits from the films, available in their funds, right?
In 1945
Which I did the math on, which is today's money, $8,724,000. So they had $8 million left over.
After feeding and, like, entertaining 3 million men.
With only 9 staff. Remember, I told you only 9 staff members.
Yeah, and the rest are
is
all
volunteers.
volunteer. Yeah.
Yeah. So with that money, and for the next 20 years, the canteen created a foundation and donated over $1 million to veterans hospitals over the course of 20 years, along with other different nonprofit programs having to do with veterans. And Bette Davis served as canteen president through the end of the war.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
I know. Listen, this is only 1945.
She lives to, like, the 80s.
I know. I think we have to make a part 2.
I think we're going to do a part 3.
I
took this long for the first chunk.
I know.
Okay.
We have to, because there's so much more. I'm only in 1945.
Okay. Here's what we're going to do.
Okay.
We're going to, all right, well, I'll do a part 2.
Okay.
Maybe a part 3.
Okay.
But right now, what we're going to do
Okay.
is we're going to thank our new team leaders because a lot of people joined in the last week. So we have about 17 people I want to thank.
Yeah.
And then we'll come back next week for part 2.
Yeah.
And maybe the week after that for part 3. I don't know.
I don't know.
Is this Betty Davis month?
I don't know. It might accidentally be.
I think
because there's just so much. This
hold on.
woman
There's
lived.
this book.
This
There's
and that.
this book.
Yeah, Mother Goddamn.
There's this book.
Miss D and Me.
There's this book.
I hate. Oh no, My Mother Cheaper by her daughter.
Yeah, and then there's this book.
I didn't like that one. I have thoughts on that one.
Okay, well that's fine. Well, we can talk about all of them.
Yeah.
Because we're gonna stretch and give everybody a chance to learn more and more. I'm honestly, this Hollywood canteen thing really caught me off guard because I had no idea this even existed.
Yeah.
It's also just the sheer amount of people involved with it. Like,
Everybody.
how isn't this a bigger thing?
Yeah. Everybody. Every union.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, how isn't this a bigger thing, like, in common knowledge?
Yeah. In the
I don't-
zeitgeist.
Yeah. Like, not even just the fact that Betty Davis involved, but the Hollywood canteen. I thought you were going to describe, like, she started a place where everybody went.
Yeah.
Or there was a place where she hung out a lot. I didn't think it was going to be we entertained the entire troops to the point where we could win 2 fronts of a war.
Yeah.
Is crazy.
I know.
That's crazy. Oh my God.
She was still filming movies during this.
What? How?
Exactly.
Like how? Like listen, I have to fly to San Diego, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm flying to San Diego this week to do stand up. I'm
Yeah.
exhausted already.
yeah.
Recording this,
She's
raising a
filming-
child.
She's filming probably 2 or 3 films during this.
Yeah.
Right. And probably falling in love again.
Didn't you have
100 cigarettes a day. Also, I didn't really get into it, but she may or may not be an alcoholic. Okay, so like she's a busy gal, and she's 5'3".
And she's a functional alcoholic.
Allegedly,
Maybe.
I don't know.
Well, you know what? I'll hit the allegedly on that. I'll hit it on the
The
functional.
estate will come after.
I'm hitting that on the functional.
You think this isn't functional? You think this is not functional?
I don't think it's sustainable. Well, we'll be right back where we're going to thank our new team leaders and say some hey hunts to some more people out there.
Pearlmania, 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 Pearlmania.
500.net. Hey, look at that. All 3 of us said it together.
3.
And-
What?
Well, because his name was
Oh,
Dusk,
yeah,
does
he's
all the
okay, you're
voices
right.
too. So we said 500.net.
Nah, look at us.
Yeah, I know. Well, like a
Who
little,
would have thought?
Who would have? Not me.
Not me.
But here we are. Another episode, another group of people to give shout outs to.
Let's go.
One person, luckily I just checked the messages because one person was like, do not use my government name. I would
Okay.
like to change it. And we said, okay, here's a reply here.
Okey-dokey.
But yeah, if you want to shout out, obviously you can join our at pearlmania500.net. And we use your screen name on Patreon or you can message us.
Yeah.
We try to catch the messages in time.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of people. So let's go ahead and start off at the very top.
Okay.
With lavender_lemonade_in_bisexual_honoring_way.
I like that.
Lavender lemonade in a bisexual honoring way.
Well, lavender lemonade is inherently bisexual.
It is. It is. It is.
I love lavender in baking. This is a little secret. I love lavender honey cake. It's one of my faves.
When my throat hurt recently, I've been drinking lavender Earl Grey.
Because you asked me for tea, and all I have is lavender Earl Grey.
Yep. So that's been a fun time. After that, we have pizza fueled.
Hey, hon.
That's me.
That's you.
That's me. I like pizza. Let's go all the way to like pizza.
Okay, on a bagel,
On a bagel?
in a pocket,
Yes.
in a freezer box.
So many freezer boxes. I've been eating a lot of. I do like a good slice though. I do
Yeah.
like finding a place that has a good, interesting slice.
Yeah,
You know, like give me a taco pizza. Give me a penne on a pizza.
that pizza from the place in Fairmount, the ex-con pizza.
Oh yeah, that's the best
the
pizza.
lamb on it, the crumbly lambs.
Don't. I'm not.
Yeah.
You know what?
And when I
would-
say ex-con pizza, I mean they hire ex-cons to help them get work.
yeah, so
So that they can then get back into the workforce.
yeah, because that way they can be the first thing on their resume because they'll have such a
it's
gap.
An incredible company, and
Is it
the
down
pizza,
north? I think.
Yeah, it's called like Down North, and
Yeah.
it's so good. If you're
Yeah.
in that area, go get it. They sell
Yeah.
out like every day.
Every day. Yeah, they only make a certain amount of pizzas, and once they're out of them, they're done. Which feels weird, but you know, there's a lot of places in Philly that do that.
Yeah.
When they have like really, really, really good food, and then part of me is like,
Yeah.
I mean,
well, because the prep takes so long.
I
That's
know.
all it is. The food prep takes so long.
after that we have Adam Williams.
Hey, hon.
After that we have Mary Bird.
Hey, hon.
That's Mary Mary, and then Mary Merrie.
A merry bird.
After that, it's I'm in love with your wife.
Oh,
That feels very
Well.
direct.
I appreciate it. After this episode of Betty Davis falling in love with other people the whole time.
Yeah. And then it's just, I'm in love with your wife.
Whoa.
Wow. That was aggressive.
Like
After that, we have Alex Perlman, do not care for water ice.
What the fuck did you just say?
I said the name of this person is Alex Perlman, do not care for water ice.
What in the divorce are we getting that you don't like water ice?
Well, the person before loves you, so maybe you should go with them.
Did they like water ice?
They didn't say.
Like a normal person?
They said they love you. It has been weird also traveling around the country and discovering that, like, different places don't have stuff.
Yeah.
Like Italian water ice here in Philadelphia region. That's like a thing, like South Jersey.
Yeah.
Even like North Wilmington. Like you get some Ritas.
I love a good water ice.
Yeah.
You come out to this area, you better get yourself a little water ice.
Get a water, on a hot day, especially when it's
Go
hot
to
as been down
John's
here.
down in Time Market. It's nice.
After that, we have neck pubes.
Hang on.
I hope that isn't about me from the YouTube.
I bet it
because I was actually thinking about it before the episode. Like I went to the bathroom and I looked. I was like, oh, I should shave my neck because I'm on camera, and I just keep remembering. So I hope I shaved my neck in time before last
neck
week's.
pubes.
After that, we have Benjamin.
Hey, Benj.
Just Benjamin. After that, we have just a Julie with a Wookiee.
Hey.
I don't like that.
Hang on.
You know what? I don't like that. After that, we have mediocre Megan.
Hey, Megan.
Megan? That's a Megan.
Megan?
You're not mediocre.
Yeah.
If you're above average
Exactly.
on a good day. What?
Listen, I like.
Sometimes people have bad days.
I want to be mediocre. It's easy peasy.
You know what? I thought about that a lot when when I used to get old jobs, like especially shit ones. I was like, I really
Just be mediocre.
I really need to show up and be high on the first day.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't get a bonus.
Set the bar mediocre.
Set
and
the
then you
law-
only have to live up to
Set
that bar.
the bar in hell.
Yeah.
And you will become a supervisor faster than anyone who works hard. Because why move someone up when they're already doing everything you want?
Exactly.
After that, we have Dolly _Partons _Jolene.
Incredible. Hey, hon.
Love it.
Somebody's got good taste over here.
That's really good taste. After that, we have Amanda C.
Hey, hon.
After that, we have Maxi Millions.
I like that. That's like it's either a porn star name or it's the name of a rich kid in a cartoon from the 80s. Like Maximilians.
It's me, Maxi Millions. And they have like a Lamborghini bed.
Yeah. They would have like a Donald Trump uncle, but like
Yeah.
it'd be before the
It'd
whole
be for
thing.
everything we know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
Scrooge McDuck stuff.
Yeah, little lifestyles of the rich and the famous.
Back when it was cool.
Back when it was never cool, but when we all kind of didn't push back on it as
Yeah.
much. Yeah.
A better time.
Back when we had ice caps. After that, we have Pearl Mania 500 Pink Pony Club.
Oh, there are emojis?
There are emojis. There's a pearl, there's a heart, and there's a unicorn in between.
Pearl Mania 500 does love Chapel Roan. It is obsessed.
So does the baby.
The baby does, yeah.
I've been playing a lot of Chapel Roan for the baby, and it's actually funny. It's one of the few. I play a lot of music videos.
Yeah.
I try to put especially a lot of stuff we grew up with and things like that because it's just good background music. And whenever Chapel Roan comes in, he'll be playing with a thing. It's blocked.
Yeah.
What is that?
Yeah.
And Pink Pony Club, he really locks in on.
Yeah.
And Red Wine Supernova, he likes a lot because I like it a lot, which means I play it a lot.
Exactly. So what I'm saying is you are correct. He is a Pink Pony Club gal.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hey,
and I'm also glad of everyone who defended Pink Pony Paw Paw.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, that felt good, and to remind people about the history there.
Our elders.
Yeah. After that, we have Jordan Hershey.
Back to me hating Ronald Reagan real quick.
Wait, hold on. We're talking about Jordan Hershey.
Well, you made me think of the elders.
With Pink Pony Paw Paw.
You made me think of Pink Pony Paw Paw.
And
then I thought about how the reason that we don't have Pink Pony Paw Paws
As many.
as many is because of Ronald Reagan.
Ignoring the AIDS crisis.
Exactly.
Okay.
And so I just wanted to hate him again for a minute. That's no shade
No
against
shade to Jordan Hershey.
Jordan Hershey did nothing wrong.
We are so sorry, Jordan Hershey.
Jordan Hershey, here's what we like about you. Last name Hershey. What a great place.
Yeah.
We're going to go to Hershey soon.
First name Jordan.
Yeah.
Great.
Like Michael.
It's spelled different, though.
Fuck them kids.
Wow, Jesus. And lastly, our last Hey Hunt.
Okay.
Do you want to say something weird before I say their name?
I always want to say something weird.
Melinda K. Let's hear it
Hey,
from Melinda
hon.
K. And like I said, there's one more name out there, but they said, don't say my government name. I don't know how to change it.
We'll do it next week.
We'll do it next week. Send us that message. I just replied to you, but here we are. We've recorded. Now,
We did it.
we reached the end of this episode.
Okay.
We should have a secret word.
Oh,
Do you have one prepared?
I keep forgetting that this is a thing we do now.
I know.
I would have picked one.
You would have picked one earlier? We've been doing it for a month now.
Okay, you know what? That doesn't mean my brain remembers it.
Yeah.
What about? Oscar is a good one, or 100 cigarettes.
Not 100 cigarettes.
Not 100
I don't want 100 cigarettes. I don't want to read that. Please don't message 100 cigarettes. Do not.
Okay.
Let's just go with Oscar's So Grouchy.
Oscar So Grouchy?
Oscar So Grouchy. If you've
That's
made it
so
to this
good.
part of the episode, Oscar So Grouchy, because he got a little butt.
You got a little butt.
But yeah, that's been our episode. This has been a
Thank you so
great
much for
time.
listening.
We'll be back for part 2, where
Yeah.
we're gonna learn more. What aspect are we doing on part 2?
Okay, so part 2, we're going to be starting in 1945. So in the 50s, we're going to get into the 50s, 60s. And this is where the feud comes in.
Oh, this is her and Joan Crawford.
Her and Joan Crawford film that infamous film.
Yes.
So it's going to be a whole thing.
Y'all, it's gonna get bitchy.
Bitchy. It's gonna get bitchy.
That's just the best way of putting
And
it.
it was already pretty bitchy this episode.
Yeah, it was. It's crazy that we're ramping into this. All right, guys. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you next week.
Too many frauds and too many scammers that we wish weren't real. Too many cons and too many spammers, and we're starting to feel like we've got too many tabs open. It's too many tabs. Remember to smile.